And it sucks because actually green's my favorite color. I'd be like, I wouldn't wear. Oh man. Fine. See, I'm wearing black today, so there you go. Hail, Internet! It's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about House of the Dragon, the Season 1 finale, The Black Queen. Appropriate, because of course it refers to Queen Rhaenyra. Also, works as a chess reference. This season's been like a giant political chess match.
Yes, you could say that.
You could say that. We open with the map table on Dragonstone. Same table we see in Game of Thrones. I like that it can be lit from underneath. That's a pretty cool touch. And as the pieces get placed on that table, looks very much like a chessboard. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There you go. All right. That's the end of that analogy for me, but that's it. Okay. Anyway. Rhaenys arrives to tell Rhaenyra what's transpired in King's Landing. Viserys has died, and Aegon's been crowned king. And the stress of receiving that news seems to be the catalyst for Rhaenyra's premature labor. We end with a scene with no dialogue in which Daemon informs Rhaenyra that her son, Lucerys, has been killed by Aemond. Her back is to the camera as she takes in the tragic news, and when she turns around, look on her face tells us she has now changed her mind. She is going to war.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they could have inserted Bugs Bunny.
Of course you realize this means war.
This means war. That's right. Paul!
Yes?
What did you think of the Season 1 finale?
I was a fan. I enjoyed it. It had plenty of machinations. You know how much I love machinations.
You're a Machinations fan.
That's right. Love the machinations. So yeah, and I think it was interesting again that they even tried to. We know that Aemond.
I think I know where you're going. Yep.
We know he can be a bully, but they wanted to make it clear that he didn't mean to kill him.
It's so true. It's so true. I was noting that myself. It was like, he has the same shocked face that his mother had that I talked about in the previous. What? I get the point that the scene is to kind of show that they maybe don't have total control over their dragons, but you're hunting Lucerys on the world's biggest dragon. What outcome was he expecting? I don't even know. If he just wanted to scare him, mission accomplished. He was actively hunting him. I mean, what? He's dead? Oh, what? This dragon I'm on killed him? I don't even know. Wow. It's just it's like a half-hearted attempt to make us care about the Greens.
Well, I don't think it's if somebody is hey, in a car and playing chicken with somebody in and one guy is in a big Hummer or something and the other is in a little coupe or something. I don't even know cars, but
sure.
If the guy was playing around and then somebody died, you might think, oh, he didn't mean for that to happen, but his actions still led to it, of course.
Yeah, but if your Hummer has fangs and breathes fire, and you just threatened this guy, here, either cut out your eye or we'll fight. It's a little different than playing chicken, I think.
I mean, because if you think about it, though, I mean, they gave those dragons personality, because that kid's one didn't help things. By
he breathes fire.
He did not want him to do that.
Right, you hear him saying, no! And the little dragon's like, I'll bother him!
This will communicate that I don't like it.
It reminds me of a moment, this is like a real-life moment. There was a friend of mine, Bobby, had a monitor lizard.
Okay.
That it needed live food. And so I happened to be over at Bobby's house when it was feeding time. I'm like, do I want to see this? Probably not.
Do you survive this story?
I survived, thank goodness. Yeah, that's right. He threw me in. Oh, my God. It was a little mouse. And so the monitor lizard was basically asleep. He's just sitting there in the big terrarium, like, do. And the little mouse is going crazy, much like Lucerys's dragon. So he's like racing all over the place, as you would. He makes this mistake of running up onto the monitor's face and then biting him on his head. And when he did that, the monitor
woke him up?
He opens his eyes. He's like, what? I will eat you now. Like, oh, no. And it was disgusting, and I had to look away. But yeah, so it's very similar. Yeah, the monitor lizard in this case, Vagar the dragon.
To imagine that if our food would behave that way, like a little hamburger, like, oh, no, and like bites you, like, oh, well, thank you.
Thank you. I would just say Aemon's personality, still dickish as ever.
Oh, yeah.
They did nothing to actually make me think, oh, you know what? It was all the dragon's fault. Like, no. No. You're responsible for your dragon.
Exactly.
The entire season basically plays out like a public service announcement for birth control. Like, the most visceral look-away moments in the whole season revolved around childbirth. Episode 1, the sickening death of Rhaenyra's mother. We then had Rhaenyra painfully carrying her newborn baby up the castle steps to present him to Alicent.
Sure.
We had Laena choosing to burn to death rather than bleed to death. Right, and here we get this horrifying premature birth sequence where Rhaenyra insists on enduring it herself. It's
all the successful births weren't even bothered. Only one successful birth they showed. Actually,
that's true. It's obviously an intention of the show, and it to great effect. Very evocative moments. Like, whoo.
Yeah. Apparently, in the books, the Greens thought, let's see if she survives this birth.
There's an implication in the book that the child was like born half dragon as well. And so, much like you were just talking about Aemon, I mean, we are meant to side with Rhaenyra. I mean, again, like, if it's in terms of, like, she loses her baby, she counsels against war, she makes Lucerys vow not to fight, and so that when she turns around in this last moment to be like, it's war, I think we're all meant to side with Team Rhaenyra at this moment.
Yes.
Although things are going to get pretty bad. I mentioned the reaction to this moment in a previous recap, but it's the blood and cheese assassins. It's a pretty serious thing, and that's probably going to be early in season 2. So both sides start, taking casualties. Let's put it that way.
Right. Yeah.
But by the way, I loved the dragon fight. I mean, that's quality nerddom right there. Boom, boom.
You could see it all, so that was good. Even with the storm.
Yes, right. Well, that was great. What was nice about the storm was, yes, it was dark, but it was selectively dark. Okay, I get the point. You're trying to hide the size of this damn dragon, and when he flies over the top, and
that was pretty impressive. It's like hey, can we have a shot that looks like that first scene from Star Wars? Can we get that?
I mean, it's like Lucerys' dragon is like, is that even considered a dragon? It's more like that monitor lizard that my friend Bobby had. Like, man, that thing is outsized, big time.
It's like it's smaller than a pony.
Yeah, but it was a fitting way to end the season. It was a big dramatic set piece, huge, well filmed. And it meant so much because it does. The one person in power that was keeping war at bay has decided, all right, screw it.
Yeah.
So it was.
Well, you could argue that the Queen also is trying, with here's this offer that if you had, I mean, she's considering it, Alicent's offer about give us this over. She's like, okay, let me see who's exactly going to be in my court before I attempt this. So I feel like the Queen, you could say, is also trying to.
I see what you mean. Okay, although I did see that as not a legitimate offer.
You don't think she's sincere, or she just should know that Rhaenyra would not want to? Because
Right.
I mean,
I
if
think
they'd
that's more
done
that
just
she
a little
wouldn't want
more to, if she didn't have Corlys on her side, and even though I mean, Corlys was saying, "You're right. Sorry about that, Rhaenys." So, if her niece wasn't as impressed with Rhaenyra as she is.
I got you. In other words, if Rhaenyra didn't have the support that she ended up having, she might have considered that option, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think she might have.
I got you. Well, yeah, to me, that sounded like, basically you accept everything that I want, and then I'll let you live. I mean, it was like, okay, all right. And obviously,
you're continually more pessimistic about Alicent than I am.
It's true. It's true.
She's like, where's that pervert? I'm going to take my shoes off.
That's right. And it sucks because actually green's my favorite color. I'd be like, I wouldn't wear. Oh man. Fine. See, I'm wearing black today, so there you go. And obviously, Daemon, at one point, Rhaenyra says like, "Oh, he's gone into madness, plotting his war." And so she makes it very clear at one point that it's Daemon who wants to do this war thing, and that she's not up for it. But Daemon is very, war planning. He's in his element.
Oh yeah, from the second he hears about it, boy, he's like, you can see how pissed he is at Rhaenys for not killing him right there.
Right? Yeah, I've even mentioned that jokingly in the last weekend. Like, she could have just killed him. He's like, why didn't you kill him?
Yeah, it's interesting that Daemon didn't decide to express it jokingly.
No, he did not. Yeah, he was like, hey, here's a laugh. You could have killed him.
What if they did an alternate take with that?
Right. Oh, great. Outtakes. They put that at the end credits. Interesting. I will say this, though. While, yes, we are meant to side with Rhaenyra, the show does point out that all is not perfect in the Daemon-Rhaenyra relationship. By
sure.
any means. The fact that he's making these war council decisions, and you can hear her, dying. I mean, she doesn't die, but, could be.
Yes.
Dying in childbirth, and he's just like, carry on, we're going to do the thing. And then, he's trying to ignore it,
Yeah.
I'm sure he's suffered the pain of Lena. He knows what that means, but in his way, he deals with it by not dealing with it, basically.
Yeah. And I really think they are trying to say something about, both these women are trying to do their best to diminish it. I mean, that,
Right. They don't want to
understanding that's
plunge
not
headlong into war.
Right, yeah. And, and while I was, expressing in the last episode with, if they just followed Otto's plan, they might have succeeded, and if they'd, kept Rhaenys in her,
sure,
they might have succeeded.
Kept her from the dragon.
So it's interesting that to see the story play out where, these choices may have ended up making it more bloody than it would have been otherwise.
The other moment that obviously shows some tension between Rhaenyra and Daemon would be when he's choking her.
Yes. Yes.
And so again, he wants to go to war. She's saying, "Hey, I know it's a Song of Ice and Fire."
Yes.
And then it becomes obvious that Viserys never told Daemon that prophecy.
Yes.
And so anyway, it's just that was a very powerful moment, but it's also like, oh wow, okay, yeah, these folks are, as dysfunctional as we assumed you would be if you were marrying your niece or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. It's interesting, how much again we get this use of the prophecy that we know is not going to really take effect till well after all of them are dead.
Yep.
In fact, it's not even their kids. They're
right. They're a cog in a giant wheel. Like it's just like, oh, I'm not even going to see this thing come to pass.
I mean, that's the alternate future. I mean, obviously this is a story, but the alternate future where it's like, maybe if we could control what prophecies he saw, if he just didn't see this one, maybe he wouldn't he would have told Rhaenyra, like, look, it's okay if my maniacal son takes over. It's just this kingdom, it's going along pretty good. If he had foreseen the end that comes to his son, he might have said, just chill, just relax.
Right, that prophecy is a little too far-seeing, in other words. If it had been more immediate future vision. Oh, okay, in the short term, this is going to be terrible. Why don't we not do that? Like, how far out does it have to be, to make it worthwhile? We get the sense that Daemon realizes that, Viserys didn't trust him with this knowledge, and
of course,
Rhaenyra's belief in that system will make her more like her dad, meaning she won't be willing to go to war, and that's against Daemon's interests. And
yes,
of course, and then we have Daemon. Basically, in his calculations, he's like, okay, we have more dragons. Some of them are wild. We need to go get them. And so we see him actually, we assume, acquiring their dad's dragon. So
yes.
Jaehaerys's dragon. Now he's got two. A wide stride, so he can ride two dragons simultaneously. And it's kind of like, who's got all the WMDs? I've got them. All right, so we've got 13, they've got 4. And of course, now they have 12 or whatever. It's kind of the arms race of the dragons.
Yes.
14-year-old Lucerys, we hardly knew ye. Obviously sets up beautifully for season 2, whenever that comes around.
Yes.
And I'll just say this, kudos to us. I'm going to give a little pat on our back, Paul. This marks the end of this 2-month trial by fire that we attempted. We took on the challenge. We were looking at we saw it coming, and we're like, what are we going to do about Rings of Power, House of the Dragon, and some Marvel show, and it turned out to be She-Hulk, all coming at the same time.
Yes.
We decided to cover them all.
Yes,
and,
right. And with your, devoted following for, Lord of the Rings, all things Tolkien, that it meant 4 different podcasts as opposed to 3 for the shows.
Right. So we did 4
really,
videos per week for the last 2 months, which I think
Matt
we showed
was killing himself for you.
Yeah, we showed it probably wasn't sustainable. Let's put it that way. But we would probably need more folks if we were going to do that forever. But for 2 months, we pulled it off, and Paul jumped in and did editing as well. So
that explains the lapse in quality.
Oh, Paul. Yes, any video you see that you think is like, oh, that didn't work so well, it was probably Paul. Yeah. It was probably Paul
me.
edited that
probably
one.
Me.
Anyway, no. So this is the end of that sequence. We will probably not be doing 4 videos a week. Probably in the foreseeable future. But
let's promise.
I will eat liver. Okay. No. All right. Anyway, Paul, thank you as always.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, sure.
We achieved our challenge. We met the challenge.
Yes.
Is my point.
Exactly.
And we will be covering Andor, and we may also be covering for Halloween. Might be fitting to do Werewolf by Night. So we'll be back talking about those things. Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good
no
sir.
problem.
And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.
Bye.